Several strong statements made by the Bengals in their 16-7 preseason finale win over the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. Mike Petraglia inside Paycor Stadium, where here on Saturday night it was more about who didn't play than who did in the preseason finale. Dax Hill did not dress at all. He was chatting on the sideline with Jesse Bates before the game, and he got the night off. Zach Taylor, after the game, kind of joked with everybody in the media room saying, yeah, he's made the team. But Dax Hill has more than made the team. He's played incredibly well through the two preseason games before the one he sat out here on Saturday night. He's played consistently and intensely in camp practice and in the two joint practices against the Rams. There was no need to play him here on Saturday night. Cordell Volson did dress but didn't play a single snap 1 week after playing the entire game against the New York Giants. Again, doing enough to show the coaching staff he more than likely has won the starting left guard position heading into the season opener against the Steelers on September 11th. Zach Taylor, after the game, spoke glowingly of Cordell Volson's work ethic, where he came from, how hungry he is, and it sounds like for all the world he will be the starting left guard on September 11th against Pittsburgh. Jackson Carman played every snap, and it did not go well. He committed a holding call, he tripped over himself on a run block, and he also missed a block and allowed a Los Angeles Rams pass rusher, Michael Oakt, to get to Brandon Allen and sack him, pushing the Bengals out of the red zone and forcing the Bengals to settle for a second quarter field goal. Not a good night at all for Jackson Carman. It looks like for all the world, he will, of course, make the roster as a second-round pick in 2021, but he will not be the starting left guard for the Bengals. It's just a matter of how far down the depth chart has Jackson Carman fallen. Also, another big battle to keep in mind here in this final preseason game, the win over the Rams, the punting battle. Kevin Huber, the 14-year veteran, had a good night. He had a couple of fair catches created on the returns and his two punts. But Drew Chrisman, the product of LaSalle High School and Ohio State, he had a fair catch. He was very happy about that inside the 15-yard line. That was in the first half. In the second half, he had a booming punt, 65 yards. It hit on the 4-yard line. He was hoping, he told us after the game, that it would pop up in the air and somebody could get down there and down it, or it would stop right there. It did not. It rolled into the end zone. Still a net 45-yard boot for Drew Chrisman. And if you ask me, it looks as though Drew Chrisman has pulled ahead of Kevin Huber. He did not have any mess-ups on the hold for the field goals that were attempted by Evan McPherson here on Saturday night. 3 more field goals for Evan McPherson, by the way. McPherson finishes 9 for 10 in the preseason on field goal attempts. But back to Chrisman, it does have the sense that Darren Simmons is going to go with a guy that he can coach a little bit more, coach into hang time, coach into directional punting, and it would not surprise me to see Chrisman kept and the Bengals waive Kevin Huber. That's probably one of the only roster battles that was at stake here tonight. I did ask Zach Taylor after the game if a game like this and even a preseason schedule of 3 games for a team like Cincinnati, which is loaded in depth and talent on its roster, is it more about the practice squad? And he said, that's exactly right. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep in mind not only the back end of the roster, but how we might formulate our practice squad if many of our players that we waive get through waivers. The traditional waiver period has to be cleared by those players, and then the Bengals can re-sign some of their own to their practice squad. Again, the deadline for cutting the rosters to 53 players is 4 p.m. on Tuesday. While that is the deadline, don't be surprised if the Bengals get a head start on that. Zach Taylor said he's looking forward to getting the players back out on the field, but more or less working on plays and preparing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, getting Jesse Bates back on the field. That will definitely happen this week, Zach Taylor said after the game here tonight. So certainly there are roster spots that could be made as a result of tonight. Jake Browning, 19 of 24. He had 174 yards, a touchdown pass late to Justin Rigg, the tight end out of the University of Kentucky. That was important because the Rams had just cut the game to 9-7 midway through the fourth quarter. Jake Browning drove the team right down the field like he did late in the Giants game and scored the insurance touchdown, and that pretty much put this game on ice. Trenton Irwin had a very good game for the Bengals, 9 catches for 97 yards. He also looked very strong here tonight. Kendrick Pryor and also Kwame Lassiter looked strong in the receiving game. Lassiter did muff a punt, his first opportunity of the night, whereas Trent Taylor caught his punt in the first quarter and returned it 31 yards. Trent Taylor is probably still going to make this roster as a punt returner. Again, the final score here inside Paycor Stadium on Saturday night in the Super Bowl rematch, and there was no fights. It was the Bengals 16 and the Rams 7. Inside Paycor Stadium, Mike Petraglia, CLNS Media.